Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Expert Sucks Sports Betting Podcast. I am Mike Day, and I am solo tonight. Unfortunately, Brandon Day, my co host, is not available this week. So it'll be just me talking a little bit of PGA, talking a little bit of UFC, and definitely talking NASCAR. So hopefully I can hold down the show and still give us some good content and everybody will enjoy it. So let's see. Okay, so just as an introduction for everybody, we are the sports betting podcast, Expert Sucks Sports Betting Podcast, and we started as a football centric podcast, and we transitioned at the end of the season one of last season of football to the off season. And so that's what this episode is tonight. The off season is still continuing, and the off season are the other weekly sports, which is professional golf, PGA Tour, UFC, Ultimate Fighting Champion, and NASCAR. And those ones, not sure if how everybody feels about most of those. I know I do have a lot of contacts and people that do like NASCAR. I've become a big NASCAR guy myself. I really enjoy it. I've really enjoyed watching it and putting little sprinkles on it this season. We're in the middle of the playoffs for that, and we'll get into that. So, as a setup for the show, we review the previous week's activities, the previous week's sports for last weekend, the PGA Tour, and then last weekend's UFC Fight Night, and last weekend's NASCAR. So the PGA Tour did have a tournament. It was the Procore Championship at the Silverado Resort course in Napa, California. Sorry, got to take a drink. And so for those of you that listen to us on Spotify, you're not seeing comments and things like that. When people make comments, I'll try to read them out loud. You don't get to see whatever's on the screen, but typically you're not missing much. It's just maybe some of the graphics or things like that. But you should be able to follow along on Spotify once we upload it from the stream. So back to the PGA Tour event, the Procore Championship. We had 10 of the 12 Ryder Cup team members playing last week, including Scotty Scheffler. And Brandon and I were kind of fooling around. We said, okay, let's just fade Scotty Scheffler last week since he's the tournament favorite. And like Scotty does Scotty things, he won. And so that was a good tune-up for Scotty going into the Ryder Cup. Not this coming weekend, but next weekend, which is the 26th, 27th, and 28th. I think a lot of the Ryder Cuppers were using this as a tune-up for the Ryder Cup, kind of relaxing a little bit, not playing, maybe playing some pressure shots, but not necessarily like a major or anything like that, but just trying to. I'm sure they were just trying to fine tune their swing, try to work out some things. Let's go. I'll give you an idea of how the Ryder Cup team did in this tournament as their tune-up. So they actually did pretty good. If anybody was following this weekend with the Ryder Cup or with the Procore Championship in Napa, Scheffler won, so first place. Ben Griffin was second. JJ Spawn was sixth. Cam Young was tied ninth. Sam Burns was tied 13th. Let's see. Russell Henley was tied 19th. Patrick Cantlay was tied 30th. Colin Morikawa tied 43. So hopefully that doesn't confirm what I was feeling about Morikawa being on the team. But I don't know. Guys still got a lot to work on in the next 2 weeks to be fully Morikawa-like. let's see, Justin Thomas was 69th. So kind of in the same boat as Morikawa. They're going to have to put some work in this week to get ready. Xander Schauffele was not there, and neither was Bryson DeChambeau. I think I covered all the guys on the Ryder Cup team. So yeah, for the most part, the guys that we feel like are going to carry the team did well last week, and did tune up the way they were. We also do a ladder play of the week, and so we did one for this week, and it was Maverick McNeely to finish top 5, top 10, top 20, and Maverick McNeely finished tied 13th. So we did get the top 20 sprinkle, so a little bit of green there. Brandon and I were doing a top finishers picks contest to see kind of who could pick the better players out of the top finishers, top 5, top 10, top 20. Brandon's guys were Cameron Young, who finished tied 9th, so just outside the top 5. And then top 10, he had Ben On, and he finished tied 57th, so not even close to the top 10. And then top 20, Brandon had Max Grazerman, who missed the cut. So a lot of red there on Brandon's top finishers picks. And then mine were top 5, Justin Thomas, who tied 69th, like I mentioned. And top 10, I had Sam Burns, who finished tied 13th. So close to the top 10. And then top 20 had Gary Woodland, who finished tied 19th. So got a little sprinkle on Gary Woodland. Good to see him get into the top 20 and do good things there. So good on Gary Woodland. That's such a great story anytime that guy has any success. So that was kind of the Procore Championship. Like I said, Brandon will be back next week. Hopefully next week it may go to the Ryder Cup week, but we're ready to hear the pairings from each team's captains. The U.S. team's captain, Keegan Bradley, and the European captain, Luke Donald. They get to pick their pairings and then match it up, and that's how the matches get set by the captains. I don't know if that happens next week. It would be great if it did. If not, we'll cover it the following week. So on to UFC. UFC did have a fight night. It was UFC Noche at the Frostbank Center in San Antonio, Texas. We always get JT Springsteen's picks. I post them to the Instagram page. There was 14 fights this week, and so JT gives us his 14 fighter moneyline parlay. I think the closest JT's ever come to hitting one of those big parlays was 11-1. So just missed by one. I don't. He may have done that a couple times. I know he's done it at least once. One of these days, he's going to hit all 12 or all 13 or 14. But this week, he was 7-7. So I actually put this as green on the sheet because the experts' picks were 5-9. So JT doing good things. I did put some sprinkles on each individual money line fight, and so I did at 7-7. I did come out a little bit ahead because some of the fights were or his picks were on the underdog, so they had obviously better odds, so had a better return on that individual one. The main event was actually really good. The number 2 contender in this is the featherweight division, Diego Lopez versus the number 10 contender, Gene Silva, out of the Fighting Nerds gym. Boy, I think, and when they got into the ring, you could just see it. Diego Lopez is just so much bigger than Gene Silva, taller, and basically the same weights, but Diego Lopez with a 3 or 3.5 inch reach advantage, and he did use that. So Silva didn't really have any opportunities to get. He likes to strike. He is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy, but I don't think he really wanted to get into a grappling match with Diego. So Silva just could not get close enough to Diego to strike with him, and then Diego did take him down repeatedly, and then finally in the second round, after I think it was a spinning elbow, he kind of caught Silva. Silva went to the ground. Diego finally stopped him by TKO in that match. The good thing is when I was looking at the odds for the fight, I was just trying to see who the favorite was, and the favorite was actually Gene Silva. Diego Silva's money line was plus 198, but a lot of times in UFC betting and UFC fighting, you don't get the best odds for just winning by money line. You have to pick either the round they win, the method of winning, either KO, TKO, submission, or by decision. And then if you can combine those two things, then the odds really go up. But I went for Diego Lopez by KO, TKO, and those odds were almost 7-1. So that was nice that I just kind of, like I said, sprinkled on that right before the fight started. The rest of the fights were pretty good. Nothing outstanding, nothing earth-shattering with any of the guys on the undercard. And that brings us to the other Saturday night event, which was the NASCAR Bass Pro Shops night race at Bristol Motor Speedway in Bristol, Tennessee. So what we do for NASCAR, a little bit like the PGA Tour, instead of calling it the ladder of the week, it's called the car lift of the week. And so we pick one driver to do the car lift, winner, top 3, top 5. And this week was not as good as last week. We had Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott finished the number 9 car, by the way, finished 38th place, which is second from last. Little notes here. I didn't get to see all the race. I was doing something else. I was playing golf down at the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs, the Eisenhower course. That was awesome. I posted a picture on the Discord golf chat. Beautiful course, mountain course, or bottom of the mountain, I guess. So I was playing golf. So I didn't get to see this whole thing. So I went back, looked at the notes, asked the Discord what happened to Chase Elliott. And apparently a little bit of it was his fault, not all of it. But what I read was he was racing fine, middle of the pack, so doing okay. And then all of a sudden, Denny Hamlin bumps into the back of John Hunter Nemechek, and then Nemechek gets bumped into the back of the Elliott, and then Elliott turned up into the wall and was never able to recover from that as far as his car goes. So I put here in the notes that he got NASCAR'd, which if you either listen to the NASCAR Gambling Podcast with Cody Zeeb or Rod Villagomez, or follow the NASCAR channel on the Discord, I kind of coined that phrase that when dudes get spun out, they get wrecked, they lose a tire, something breaks, cardboard on the track, whatever, that's getting NASCAR'd, especially when it's the guy that you picked to be your car lift. That's never good. So that didn't go well. That was red. So that was like the first week, I think, in 2 or 3 weeks that we have not hit our car lift in any way. The other thing we do is the head-to-head matchups. And this is a 3 matchup, 3 head-to-head, one driver over the other parlay. We finally hit this a couple times in the last couple weeks, but not this week. So we had Denny Hamlin over Kyle Larson. Hamlin finished 31st. Larson finished 32nd. So a lot of the Discord guys they've coined the phrase that Kyle Larson is now Captain Shook, because he's been shook since the Indy 500 Coca-Cola 600 spin outs, wreck outs. He's just kind of been a bit of a mess in the NASCAR. I mean, he does fine, and he has done good enough in points to advance in the playoffs, and I'll get into that in a minute. The other matchup we had was Brad Keselowski over Tyler Reddick. Keselowski came in second place, and Reddick came in 15th. So, if anybody's been following us, also, I have tried to hit some sprinkles on Reddick, and I have finally given up on that dude. And that's the reason why I took Keselowski over Reddick, and it paid off. So I think that fate of Reddick is probably a smart thing until further notice. The final head-to-head is the one that we lost. It was red, and that was Bubba Wallace, 34th place over Ross Chastain, who finished 19th place. And I think Bubba Wallace was a little bit like Chase Elliott. I mean, he did enough to advance in the playoffs before he, I think, may have been the cause of his wreck, or he got caught up and was partially to blame. Anybody in Discord or the chat, correct me if I'm wrong on that one. And then, finally, for picks, what we do in NASCAR is we do a top finishers picks parlay. Three different drivers, one to finish top 3, one to finish top 5, one to finish top 10. And the top 3 guy was Denny Hamlin, which was red. Unfortunately, he finished 31st because I think he was part of that whole mess with Chase Elliott. Our top 5 was Christopher Bell, the lone sprinkle here. He was the winner of the race, so Christopher Bell did get the win, and that advanced him to the next round of the playoffs as well. Our top 10 was the aforementioned Bubba Wallace. I didn't think that went through very well. I got to start paying attention to guys I put in my head-to-head matchups or the car lift of the week and make sure I'm not overlapping into the top finishers picks because of this very thing where you lose both the head-to-head and the top finishers play. I don't know if I have any of that. Sometimes it's hard to avoid because if you feel like somebody's going to win a matchup, then they should finish pretty good. Oh, I do have one this week. We'll talk about that. So the NASCAR Playoffs Grid Challenge is going on at NASCAR.com. I spoke about this 3 weeks ago that I got into the sports gambling or the NASCAR Gambling Podcast League for that. And right now I believe I'm tied, and a lot of people are tied after the first 16 to 12 round. But I believe I am tied for third. I did take some chances here. The only 2 that I didn't have, I had 10 guys advance. The only 2 that I didn't have advance were Shane Van Gisbergen, SVG, and Josh Berry. I was trying to be a little contrarian and go on brand somewhat and go kind of against the grain. And that didn't work out as well as it could have, but I still did advance 10 of the 12 drivers: Larson, Blaney, Logano, Reddick, Hamlin, Byron, Bell, Briscoe, Cindric, and Elliott did get in with enough points. So what they'll do now is they'll go from 12 to 8 in the next 3 races, much like they did 16 to 12. Everybody's in the race, and the top 8 guys are the 12 guys are battling to get to the top 8 by either points or by winning a race. So that kind of covers last week's action. It was a good weekend. Hit that little sprinkle with Diego. Hit some sprinkles in NASCAR. Hit a few good things, and I'll talk about it Thursday with Brad when we do the football show, but had a pretty decent week in college and pro football. So stay tuned for that. If you want to hear what those sprinkles were, just let me know. when we do the football show. So that brings us to this weekend's action. There is no PGA Tour event, so those players have a week off before the Ryder Cup at the end of the month. And there is also no UFC fight night, which that is pretty rare that Dana doesn't have a fight night scheduled. So not sure what's up with that there. September 20th doesn't seem like anything like a national holiday or anything going on. So maybe they're just taking a break. But they'll be back on September 27th with another UFC event. So that really just brings us to NASCAR. Now, total warning here. NASCAR is on Sunday, back to Sunday, instead of Saturday night. And it is the Mobile One 301. So instead of Mobile One 300, they're going to do that extra one lap. So, and this is at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway in Loudon, New Hampshire. So just like we talked about before, we do a car lift, we do head-to-head matchups, and then we do the NASCAR top finishers picks, top 3, top 5, top 10. Our car lift this week is we're going back to our guy because I don't know if I can take another week of a 38th finish, but so we're going back to our guy. We've kind of adopted Ryan Blaney as our driver for the Experts Suck Sports Betting Podcast. We just keep going to the guy. He's won us quite a bit this year, this season. So I just like the way he drives too. He's a young dude. Is very steady. Is typically one of the best cars, one of the best drivers in every race. So if he doesn't finish, in the top 10 or above, there's either something wrong with his car or he got NASCAR'd. Some chaos happened that he just couldn't avoid. Rarely his fault that something keeps him from a top 10 finish. So that's the winner, top 3, top 5 car lift. Our head-to-head matchups are, I'm going right back to Brad Keselowski. Keselowski over Ty Gibbs. And then Blaney, who we just mentioned as the car lift, over Captain Shook, Kyle Larson. That is, so Keselowski over Gibbs is minus 115. Blaney over Larson is minus 125. And then William Byron over Chase Elliott at minus 105. Decent odds. Trying to maybe looks like I'm playing a little bit safe. Although you never know with Larson. He could get over his being shook and become one of the best drivers in NASCAR again, but you never know. Keselowski over Gibbs. Keselowski's just been racing very, very good the last 3 weeks. And then I think Byron, this is a type of track that he prefers. Oh, I should go back. That was one of the other reasons why we took Blaney, is apparently New Hampshire is more of a flat track layout, not as steep banked curves as some of the other tracks. So, and apparently Blaney is really good on short, flat layouts. He is actually the number 1 ranked driver in NASCAR in short, flat speed, which hopefully that translates well to this track. All right. I think that is. Oh, wait. Sorry. My bad. I did not do the NASCAR top finishers picks, which is the top 3, top 5, top 10 different drivers. So for top 3, I had Christopher Bell kind of penciled in, and then I looked at his odds, and he was not getting plus odds for the top 3. So I went with Denny Hamlin at plus 160. And then top 5 went with William Byron at plus 180. And then top 10, going to go back to Bubba Wallace again. Bubba Wallace, if he can avoid any craziness, chaos, if he can stick to what he does best and stay out of trouble. He's a top driver. He's a good driver. It's just sometimes it just feels like maybe he takes too many chances and gets into the mix a little bit too much. But top 10 for Bubba Wallace is definitely doable by him. Okay, so that is the picks for this weekend. It's only NASCAR, like I said. So that'll be something that I'll have on my phone, paying attention to while watching the NFL. So yeah, going up against the NFL, but it's still the NASCAR playoffs. So a lot of you guys in your man caves, if you have 2 or 3 TVs or 3 or 4 TVs, maybe flip on NASCAR on one of those and do NFL Red Zone on one and whoever your favorite team is on the other one. And it's all good. Just sit back, relax, have some snacks, a few pops, and have a great Sunday. So a lot of this will be in the Instagram. I definitely will download the audio from the podcast and upload that to Spotify so that our regular Spotify followers can catch us over there. And that I think that kind of covers the off-season sports for another week. Keep in mind the NASCAR playoffs don't end until Phoenix on November 2nd. So we do have a few more weeks of hitting these plays. We're starting to get a little bit better at them. There's a little bit more green than usual, like when we first started. So I think it's part figuring out some things out, who the better drivers are, listening to the right people, maybe fading the experts and fading the right people, and just kind of going with what we feel like can happen in NASCAR. So, all right, everybody, I appreciate it. Like I said, I'll post the schedule for the football version of the podcast, which is going to be 2 days from now, Thursday at 4 p.m. Mountain Time. I know it's in the afternoon. Everybody works. But if you can kind of put it on in the background or something like that, catch us there. Jump into the chat. Just have it on your computer or your phone on YouTube. See what we're all about. We're doing pretty good. Our first week, we were, because we have to do 6 picks, right? We were 5-1, going opposite the experts. So not too bad. We'll cover what we did this week. I don't want to steal any of mine or Brad's thunder on football. So tune in 2 nights or 2 afternoons and catch us there. And then good luck, everybody, on your NASCAR picks. Hopefully you enjoy the race, and we will review and hopefully have some PGA Ryder Cup preview going next week. We'll have a preview of the UFC event and then the preview of the next NASCAR event. So thanks, everybody, for joining me by going solo. Hopefully I held this down okay. And Brandon will definitely be back next week. I know Brandon's got a little bit more. See, I'm the setup guy of the show. I set up Brad and Brandon. So I'm kind of the setup guy. Those two are what we would call the talent of the show. They just bring so much more to the podcast than just me talking about all these different sports and all these different picks and sprinkles and things like that. But hopefully you enjoyed me for the last 30 minutes. And I'm going to get out of here and let everybody get on with their night. So I appreciate it. Please remember to come into the channel and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. YouTube is always all about subscribers. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe. You're not obligated to anything if you subscribe. It's just like hitting a follow on Instagram or on Spotify. YouTube just does it by subscription. So if you hit subscribe, that certainly helps us. If you hit like, that also helps us. If you hit share, that definitely helps as well. We're trying to grow this podcast on different platforms, so go there. Find us again on Spotify. Hit a follow there. Rate the show. Give us a 5-star rating if you like what we're doing, and share it with people you know. And we'll just keep going. We'll keep going and grow this thing. And maybe one day we'll be a household name. Dare to dream. So thanks again, everybody. Have a good night, and we will see you on Thursday.